We have a packed agenda for today, and therefore I think we don't start too much with talking and go directly into the content.
As Peter said, time is always short in a keynote speech, and therefore let's directly start. We start with an activity that not only we as the UI5 team at SAP have done, but we have done something together with you, with the UI5 community. And we have done something very important. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been on the keynote. So we have together crafted a modern and cohesive development experience for UI5. It covers all aspects coming from creation over development and to testing. And why is this so important? If we look what UI5 can do, if we look into the features, the professional features of UI5, the UI5 framework is already outstanding. It can really do more feature-wise from our capabilities than every competitor. So we can please and convince customers, we can please and convince our end users. However, to come to the devices of the end users or the desk of the end users, we need basically applications. And applications are built by developers, by you, by our UI5 community. Therefore, it's really key to also get you and more of you on board. And what is better suited for that than a really cool development experience? And Peter will share some additional insights about that.
Yeah, thank you. So when looking into the development experience, there is the one important aspect we missed quite a while. It's the creation of a project, the scaffolding. And here we have really a tool which has been developed also a while back with the easy UI5 generator available. And in the past, it was really closed from a kind of templates which were available for the generator. And together with you over the last year, we came up with the idea of making it open and allow also that custom templates can be injected into the generator. And these templates, they are not only provided by SAP with easy UI5, they come from the UI5 community. They are available as plugins. Everyone can contribute that, we from SAP, we from the community side, and make them available for everyone. So the scaffolding part is one thing. The other thing is the development. Here, we also talked really quite a while about the UI5 parts. We enabled here TypeScript. And over the last year, we also worked hard on really getting the TypeScript, the type definitions better. It was really an effort, and people were really sweating to get that done. And but nowadays, we have a much better foundation for TypeScript development with the current code base of UI5. The other thing, which is also very important regarding the development experience, is really the UI5 tooling. Because with the UI5 tooling, we opened up in a way that we can use a lot of things which are there, which you know from other development or from other frameworks while doing your development work. And with that, we could integrate really good things like live reload, proxy and stuff like that. And it was not limited to that what we do. So we have really also opened up. We have the middlewares, we have the tasks which can be developed. And here they are also then available for everyone and can be shared for the usage. And now let's look into a new dimension. It's the third dimension, it's testing, because here we have a new kid on the block in the UI5 community, the VDI5. And with that, we also complete then the, let's say, the development experience flow for the UI5 development. Also for VDI5, it's possible to use it with TypeScript. So with that, I stop talking. And as everything is so easy with development and the development experience, Stefan, as a CPO, can also do the coding.
So let's start. I'm going to create an application using easy UI5 and the easy UI5 generator. And we use a UI5 TypeScript application. So I start with that. And now I have to wait a few seconds, and application name is fine. I can also stick to the namespace. Peter also prepared the title quite well. Then
Stefan, there's one thing we need to change. I think the presentation mode of the slides stops for the people in the audience to show it. So
hopefully, yeah, you can see I just answered these questions here. You select Open UI5 and use the latest version. Web components we do not use yet. Odata service, Peter has prepared this quite well. the endpoint fits. And now we would like from your data service to look into the speakers. We have the ID as key, and now we are going to show the last name. Here it is, the first name, the email. Okay. And now, nice try, Peter. No.
Maybe as you start, it's better that you enter your name.
So basically, and I would like to create a new directory here. Good. Now the application is generated, and I go into the folder. I start to open Visual Studio.code. Okay, now I have to know the right keyboard commands on Macs. Good, and
it's a developer machine. Be careful.
New terminal, and basically with npm start, we should be able to see the applications that we just have built. Good, here we go. And it was
out of a
really
sudden
easy. And what we now can do is basically we would like also add some functional stuff to the application, and we would like to add a button. And I go into the source folder, I go to the views, I select the main view, and then below, that was the scrolling, that was not ideal. And I go
below
down
the shell
to
bar.
the table, and here we go. Now you realize that maybe a bit out of practice, and I would like to add a button now, and I have chosen the wrong keyboard quickly. Go for the button. Okay, I have selected a button. I now need a text property and not text property, and say I switch now between the keyboards. That was a mistake. Now I say text and say hello.
The equal sign need to be before the string.
And now I need also an event, the press event, and say,
look at me, I'm sweating already.
And say hello, and
the equal sign, Stefan.
Yeah. It's
red underlined. It says already there is something wrong. You have to fix that.
Keep calm. Everything is good now. So that's it. Now save. And let's see what happens on the right-hand side. You now see my button. I just copy the function. Copy. And as you can see, the button is present, but obviously it does nothing. So we have to go into the controller. I choose the main controller, and I now add my method. So, all right, jump. Wrong. And now I would like to use a message box from sub m. I see also TypeScript, a nice, let's say, code completion. I can use the show method and get, again, proposal. Hello, UI5con 2022. And now I need to save it. Good. And we now can see again the update, and if everything is right, you can also see the new text that I've added. And to increase the speed and to not go onto the nerves from Peter, I hand over to him for the professional continuation of the coding.
Now I think we need to speed up a little bit. So at the end, you see it's very easy to use. We have the easy start with the easy UI5 generator. You can use TypeScript. You get a little support here. But now let's make a little bit more realistic example and see a bit more what works with TypeScript. And the first thing I would do is want to use also, as it's an odata V4 based backend, that I can also create an entry. So let's do one thing and change the name of the button to create. And I should use the E here and say it's the create command. So this one we save already. And I was also a bit lazy now, and therefore I prepared some snippets which helped me to complete the coding to make it a bit faster. So what I added here is the create callback for the event handler, and here I retrieve the list binding of the odata of the table, the rows aggregation, the rows binding, and therefore for the rows binding, I want to create a new entry. And so I want to really showcase that it's really that simple to add a new entry to your odata table. And having that entry, we can now enter also some text, and it's being saved for sure. If I reload now, the whole thing is there. So let's do a second thing, because now we can add, we can modify. Let's also add the remove, the deletion. So, and as the deletion is also a button then for us, and we want to do that for the selection, I also prepared a little snippet for that to make it a little bit quicker. So here in the delete, we access again the table, the UI table. And here we use the context of odata v4. And I get the one, I was also a bit lazy here, just the first selected from all the selected indices. And then I call just the delete operation. That's it. So everything is for sure also explained via the TypeScript code completion. So now I can also press delete here. Did I update? Most probably I didn't save. I don't see it here. Let me just hide that one. Floating. So it's there. So, and let's delete that. So, wow, it's gone. So, and now I want to show you one thing, because we worked also over the last year together in the community on one project to make it easily possible to consume third-party libraries here inside. Because if you have TypeScript, what you would expect is, and the modern syntax with the imports, that you can, for example, install something like XSLX. I want to do an Excel export of the list of the speakers now. And having that, I want to just write the import here inside. So import, let's say from, and then XSLX. So that's the one I have here. And from the XSLX, I want to use the util. So you now get the code completion, because this comes then now out of the box. And I think this is also what you would expect then here. That you use it as native as possible. In order to make that running now, we need a middleware to get that done. So therefore, I'm using UI5 now, and there is a new generator available, which will be also presented tomorrow by Jakob Kjaer in his session. It's about adding tasks, middlewares, and tooling extensions to your project easily. Not something looking up in the documentation, reading the readmes and so on. Just do it via some guided procedure. So after that, once that is being installed, it adds for me everything already in the package JSON. So I can be really lazy. Tooling modules is in, it's being registered as dependencies here. And in the UI5 YAML, it's also configured. I can just continue now and go back with npm start. So now here it is. And now we want to use the open source package here. And also, because I was a bit lazy, just create an export function. And we connect this export function now with an export button. So just adding that here. So now basically, oh, sorry, it's being called. And so what I do is now I retrieve the context from the rows binding. And what I want to do now is I want to convert that in a JSON data. I need that for the later part. So I iterate over the context and push everything in a JSON object. And then what I do is to create a workbook with the help of XSLX. And now you get also the code completion for XSLX, because it's just natively embedded. And to speed it up, I just keep it like it is here. And finally, what we need to do is to download the whole thing. So let's do that as well here. And if I now press export, I get a download. And this is the list of all the speakers, just by using a little bit of a third-party library. Last but not least, was it so boring? So last but not least, we also want to see how to add the code, the testing part, VDI5. So Volker created for that part an npm init command that I can call npm init VDI5. And I want to use the TypeScript parts here. So let's wait a little bit. Again, the trash bin is populated. Yeah. So, but it should be soon ended. And what it creates for me, it creates a test folder next to my source folder. So this test folder is then more or less ready with the configuration for VDI5 and the TypeScript configuration. And what I need to do is to add my specs then for that. So in specs, I add my basic test.ts because we want to do TypeScript. And I don't want to type the whole thing. So I just paste it in like this. And there is at the moment, there are two things which Volker is aware of and will be also fixed soon. So the types need to be added here for the type definitions that we get also the code completion support. And if you use ESLint, you need to also configure your ESLint properly so that here no issues will be displayed then. So now going back to my test, I can also see that I have done the code completion for UI5 controls available and also for the VDI5. So a last thing to prove that, we start the app. And in parallel, we also run the VDI5 test. So now the test should be finally green. Let's see, the Chrome starts up. Test, green passed. So good, we are done. Application, complete life cycle. So let's go back to the slides. You have seen this extension for the Easy UI5, this add tool. It's related to some metadata what we are creating via the Best of UI5 website. Maybe some of you have already seen that. It's a place because we have now so many tasks, so many middleware, so many extensions for the UI5 ecosystem that we need a central place where to list it. And this is Best of UI5. And there are already tools available which use this metadata to make more out of that. Just to mention it. Also there will be a session today evening. Yeah, let's recap now a bit.
Let's recap what we announced and said last year. I hope you remember this picture from our previous presentations. We used it to talk about UI5 evolution. We used it to talk about layered architecture. And last year, we specifically made one announcement. We said that we want to enable the strict CSP compliance of SAP UI5. And as you can see here in our demo kit application, we now brought you in a position and enabled you to build strictly CSP compliant UI5 applications. I think one thing to mention, it's now a bit different like us just providing a new theme. To be strictly CSP compliant, you, the developers, you, the community, have really to do something. You have to do the right stuff. You have to follow our guidelines. And one, for instance, is that you only are allowed to use asynchronous APIs. This is one sample. Synchronous APIs cannot be then strictly CSP compliant. So you have really to actively change your applications or really to build these applications directly in the right way. And also to support that, and we talked about development experience, there's also a nice chapter in our demo kit talking about do's and don'ts to give you the right guidelines and details. And as we have to hurry up a bit, I think with that, we can finally say we have enabled it, and we can also close a GitHub issue a bit later than we hoped to be able to do, but finally we closed it as announced. And there was one more announcement around bootstrapping, and Peter will show you where we are with that one.
Yeah, it's a topic which hasn't been finished yet for today, unfortunately, but we are here in a good shape that we have some ideas how to evolve the bootstrapping. We already have a proof of concept running on that. So the ideas of this new modular bootstrap, which is then being put aside of the existing bootstrap, is that it is compared to the existing one working in a way that it grows as we go. So it only loads the things which are really, really needed. It will work asynchronously only, so something we also would push for. We want to establish earlier access to DOMs, that you can display also placeholder, do other things, do early rendering without data and stuff like that. And with all that, we also want to change a little bit how the CSS is being loaded, because one thing of the fact how we load the CSS today, we have in an uncached scenario also flush of unstyled content, and things like this we want to avoid. And the other thing is about really making it tightly coupled to the UI5 tooling, that we have the best possible UI5 tooling support for that. And as I said, we have a POC on that. I just want to give you a brief look into how it's. So let me open that one and go to the browser. So I made two applications for that. One is a basic application like it is today, if you can use a self-contained build of UI5. So this is a UI5 control rendering a button. So here's the button, and that's what we have as a baseline for the performance here. And let me do a lighthouse comparison for that. If I don't click so around, then it does work also. And finally, this is now just a simple button with a current bootstrap of UI5. So the performance is okay-ish for this kind of button, and it's already self-contained, so it loads also less resources. But we also plan now to go a little bit further. And this is really reworking the core as it is today and making it even more modular. And with that, I have a second one, and let me show that to you. It's now a core which has been really shaped out, and only that it loads this what is needed. It's just the rendering, the control framework for that, and a few assets which are necessary to just display this button here. What you also see here is a UI5 Web Components button. So this is this UI5 button tag. So it's the UI5 Web Components enablement being displayed here. And if we now do a performance measurement of that, and this is what we at the end want to reach with these rework parts, is that we can now see that the performance overall will go up in a way that we are really close to the 100. And okay. Demo, why? So is it the wrong one? I should use the right one. Let me check. The index custom would be the right one if I use it. So now this looks better. And live demos, always the same.
Fine work.
Yeah, I was sweating already, and I still sweat because of that demo. So, and that's what I want to reach. Really, the point is that we have here a comparison also with other frameworks, in a way that if we have simple apps running, then they should also come up with a high performance. Good.
Good. You now have seen already the end-to-end development experience demo. You have seen our two concrete announcements, but we have obviously done more than that. We didn't put everything that we have done in the Tech Cloud. We have done some selection about what we are going to talk about. And let me pick here the flexible programming model, smart controls, macros. And I don't want to talk about that. It's only a teaser. We have additional sessions today that talk about the flexible programming model, how Fiori elements and Freestyle UI5 come closer together, get more and more seamless, and both sides will benefit. So I think it's Tobias and Ashley today, and Holger and Marius tomorrow who will touch the topic. Please look into that one. Also important, we have provided now a new, fresh, and modern look and feel. We have now provided the Horizon theme family. Please have a look into that one. We have a morning and an evening theme, and means a light and a dark one. We also have high contrast white and black. And this is not only about the fresh look and feel, it's also addressing now the latest accessibility standard update, WCAG 2.2. And I now hand over to you, Peter, maybe only two topics.
Yeah, two topics, but very quickly. We have seen that already, UI5 Web Components 1.0. We released it last year around TechEd. They are mature enough, you can use that, yeah. And now what is new is that with UI5 104, the UI5 web components will also be enabled back in sub UI5. So the ones if you have used already in Open UI5, you have maybe looked into that, and please do the same also with sub UI5, provide feedback for us because we need to learn of that. Yeah, let's look into the future.
Good, the future. And you now might wonder, hey, we want to look in the future and we start with something that starts in 2009. However, it's first important that you understand two things. There's a kind of a theoretic concept of a product innovation life cycle. And this means that you usually have such a curve. You have a flat start, the introduction of a product, then you have a growth and a maturity phase, and then there's a phase of a decrease. So this is important to understand. It's also important to understand the second aspect, where you are with your own product. And with UI5, we have already passed such a curve. So we have a really strong growth. Back then, we have been the strategic UI technology of SAP. And then suddenly more and more people used it. Also less experienced people used it. Less experienced people use it to build more and bigger applications. And when we also run into trouble, we had a bit performance issue and we saw a slight degradation. And then we did something against it. Peter.
Yeah, the thing we did was the UI5 Evolution project. I think many of you have heard it very often in the last keynotes. It's main topic about performance, modularization, the things what we have seen already with the demo before that we got already up to a dedicated speed. It's about introducing the asynchronous APIs, modularization of the core, the addition of the UI5 tooling. And all in all, what we did here is really going forward in a compatible way.
Exactly. So we did something really cool. We really innovated and kept all apps running. And we have been, as you can see here, very successful, even between the last UI5con and today. We have now new big stakeholders, Ariba procurement inside SAP. We have a lot of important renewals. So we have done, from that perspective, a really good job. But on the other hand, there are two things that we realized. First, UI5 evolution gets more and more cumbersome in a way. So we have taken all the kind of easy wins, and the return on investment of new changes now gets worse. And it's also the feeling, hey, and our feeling and the product team feeling, it seems a bit that our curve flattens and we have to do something against it. We want to innovate again. We want to go up again. So other open source solutions might come just with a new version, be fully incompatible. That is not something that we like. And we also had one of our key success factors in the enterprise segment was that we keep apps running, that we are always compatible. Now, what to do? It's a bit of a dilemma, and we were thinking hard and find a very promising compromise. The compromise we call is legacy-free UI5. Peter.
Yeah, with the evolution of the web stack and also that more and more web standards are part of the browser, we could also reduce more and more our framework. And by reducing more and more of our framework, we also need to get rid of APIs which are currently there, which are deprecated and which are not needed anymore. And this is the thing what legacy-free UI5 is about, that we say, for example, going forward, we need asynchronous only. We want to remove the deprecation. We want to get rid of the globals, things you have heard from the UI5 Evolution project already. So it's the logical step forward to innovate the framework. And therefore, it needs to be also from our side possible to really get rid of these legacy parts. And with that, also one thing to mention, UI5 web components, we also would like to add as the standard for UI element development. I said that already very often. It comes close with 104 for most of the new UI elements, because then they can really share it across technologies, and also especially for UI5, where it integrates also like a first-class citizen.
Good, and the key statement is that best practice apps will keep on running. That means if you today develop according to our guidelines and standard, you can take over these applications without any change to the new stack. And if you have an old application, you might have to adjust, or we really keep and give you the promise. We will continue to support and maintain the current version. And also we will ensure that in the Fiori Launchpad, both versions can run in parallel. And it's also not, let's say, a complete plan, we now share our thoughts very early. We share it with you, the community, and we want to hear your feedback. Please provide us feedback, and also maybe there's the other innovative idea, and then we can do a conscious decision on that.
Yeah, with that we are at the end of the session, but there is one thing we would like to mention again, the thing from the beginning, the UI5 team and the UI5 community. We together, we are really a perfect symbiosis, because what we have seen in the beginning, this demo, wouldn't have been possible with all the awesome work people in the community and people at UI5 in the team are doing. And what I would like to end the session today is that I would like to really throw a big thank you to all of you for being part of that community and drive this, what we are doing. Thank you.